I have sort of a theme going here, and that is AI resurrects humans. And so this first story is about Will Chamberlain. There's a docuseries coming out about Will Chamberlain. I think it's a 3-episode series. I believe it starts tomorrow. I'd have to double check. But it's narrated by Wilt. And the way they created the narration is they used an AI generated voice, although it's all of Wilt's words, but the voice itself is generated by AI. And so I thought that was sort of interesting. They got permission of his family. He died in 1999, I believe. And he was an incredible person. I used to live on the west side of LA, as he did as well. And so I would bump into him from time to time at the gym and in restaurants. And I walked by him one time at the gym, and my head came up to like his belly button. And he was retired at that point, and he's just this huge guy, but he was like a bodybuilder. He was built like a bodybuilder, just massive shoulders. And one time I was in a restaurant where he was eating, and he was in a table that was near the wall, and it was a very noisy restaurant, and he stood up to leave, and the restaurant went instantly dead quiet as soon as he stood up. So anyways, it looks like a very interesting documentary. I'm set up to record it, and he himself, or his AI version of his voice, narrates it. This is another interesting story, sort of related. AI resurrection of Brazilian singer for car ad sparks joy and ethical worries. So this is a very interesting story. It's in the Guardian. Very good. Elise Regina died an untimely death at 36 in 1982. And her daughter, Maria Rita, was 4 years old at the time. And so they've made this video. It's actually an ad for Volkswagen, where Elise Regina, I hope I'm pronouncing these names correctly. She sings one of her famous songs, and her daughter sings along with her.
Well, what's the song? Is that the song very iconic? I don't know.
Yes, it was one of her most famous songs. Let's see, I'm sure the name is in here somewhere.
Or can we hear the song?
I'm afraid to play any music because
our video will get banned. Is that
the
music very famous? Like
yes.
Everybody understand?
It's a big hit. It was always a big hit in Brazil.
So
she was a very famous singer in Brazil. And so the family approved all of this. So what they've done is, let's see, I'll show you the YouTube video. I'm not going to play it, but this is the famous singer's appearance.
Already dead, but using AI to regenerate a new ads on BMW's new.
Yes. What they did is they chose a model that had the same similar dimensions to the singer, and then they used AI to fit the face on it. The song was the original song that she sang, and then her daughter, who's in this car, they keep cutting back and forth in the ad, sings along with her, and it's really nice. It's very good. And so
now I know why Hollywood, the actors and writers are going to have strike.
Yes, I'm going to talk about that. This generated a lot of controversy in Brazil, and a lot of people are upset. And so anyways, rather to go more into that, I'm just going to leave you with this article on the Guardian. It's a very good article. And you can dig that up, and of course, you can see the URL in the address.
Can you share the URL on the chat so we can dive in and I want to hear the song. Just curious.
Don't play it while we're in our.
Okay. Or our video will get banned.
Yeah, let me dig up the chat here. I was going to figure out where Zoom put everything. Let's see.
Zoom.
There it is.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, today we have to go around 9:50. We have
Yeah,
a
so I'm
dead
going to
cut.
try to zip
Yeah.
along.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, let's just zip along.
So there's the YouTube video. You know, that was controversial. This is a great video with Marvin and Nona Gay. And Marvin had sort of an untimely death himself at a relatively young age. And his daughter, who became a singer herself, very nice singer, sang this duet at the NBA All-Star game in 2004. Earlier, I think it was maybe 10 years earlier, Marvin Gaye had sung the national anthem at the All-Star game at the Lakers Forum. And so they did this duet, you know, after he had died. And it's just beautiful. It's the most beautiful thing. I wish I could play it. But anyways, you can see it on YouTube here. And there was no controversy about this. This was just beautiful. But, you know, they used a video of him from the prior event and then mixed it with her live.
Oh.
Okay, and just like Dominique said, SAG strike, actors join writers on Hollywood picket lines.
Yeah.
And so this is an article from BBC News. They cover it very well. And what do you know, another article from BBC News, the Black Mirror plot about AI that worries actors. Here's a case where Salma Hayek played a role on that show, Black Mirror, and where her persona was sort of hijacked, and you know, they made movies and stuff with her in it and fake based on AI. And so it's sort of a horror story from an actor's standpoint. I know of a copyright lawyer who advises models and so forth. And he says, if you want to sign an agreement that gives someone the rights to your persona in perpetuity, find another lawyer, because I do not want you to sign that agreement. Because once you do that, you're out of work for the rest of your life. So, so that's sort of interesting. There's a new chat bot called Claude 2. Claude 2 ChatGPT rival launches chatbot that can summarize a novel. And so this is very interesting article. This is from The Guardian. And so one of the things they're trying to do is have this chatbot follow the 3 laws of robotics created originally by Isaac Asimov. And what are those 3 laws? Well, we can go to the Wikipedia page about the 3 laws of robotics. Law number 1 is a robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. Law number 2 is a robot must obey the orders given to it by human beings, except where such orders would conflict with the first law. And law number 3, a robot must protect its own existence so long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law. And so these were created by Isaac Asimov. And he actually, I'm going to tell you a little story about this. This is very interesting. So there was a movie, as you may recall, called I, Robot with what's his name?
Will Smith.
Will Smith, with Will Smith. And very interesting. If you want to watch the movie and haven't seen it, skip forward 1 minute into this video, because I'm going to give you a spoiler. Okay, here's the spoiler. The AI in this movie, patterned after a story by Isaac Asimov, decides that humans are too self-destructive and that it needs to take over to save us from ourselves. So it followed the 3 laws.
Yes. Wow. Actually, this road, because human is so messed up. So we are helping you guys to prevent you guys harming each other.
So it takes over, and there's all kinds of problems with that. In fact, an interesting thing is this movie has an AI resurrection of a human in it. And the human who's resurrected, this movie was made in 2004, by the way. Isaac Asimov died in 1999. The human who is resurrected is a character named Dr. Alfred Lanning, who created the AI, and that's played by James Cromwell, Dr. Alfred Lanning, played by James Cromwell, great actor in a lot of movies. And so anyways, here's an interesting story about this story. So Isaac Asimov wrote this book called I, Robot. And it was based on a it was based on 9 short stories that Asimov wrote from 1940 to 1950 in a magazine called Super Science Stories, and also Astounding Science Fiction. And that book, in turn, was based on stories. I love this history stuff.
Yeah, this is like
It was based on a series of stories. This is the magazine article in which the stories originally appeared in 1939 by Earl and Otto. I don't know if it's Binder or Binder. If they were in Germany, it was probably Binder. I apologize if I pronounced it wrong.
It's fine. Nobody really know in this meeting.
So Earl and Otto combined their names to be sort of like E and O, Yando Binder or Binder. And so under that name, they wrote these short stories in this magazine, which was scanned here. This is on archive.org, otherwise known as the Wayback Machine. And this whole stories are right here. It's really cool.
Wow.
And so Isaac Asimov based his stories from 1940 to 1950 on this 1939 set of stories. Oh, by the way, they were published in a book as well called Adam Link Robot. The name of the robot in their stories was Adam Link. And you can buy this on
wow, 1965. It's even
Wow. And the I, Robot book from Isaac Asimov was it's been republished many times, but you can find it right now on thriftbooks.com.
Wow.
And so anyways, Asimov combined his 9 short stories in 1950 into one story, and he didn't want to call it iRobot because the Binders already used that name, but his publisher wanted to call it iRobot, so that's what they ended up calling it. And he died in 1992. The movie came out in 2004, and you might think, boy, these guys were really thinking far into the future. As early as 1939, they were thinking about this kind of stuff. And we're thinking, oh, this is brand new stuff.
Yeah, this is all
cutting edge, and
we're just too slow, right?
This is
too stupid to develop.
100 years later, we're getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are not as creative as our grandparents.
So what do you know? So I talked about how Claude 2 is coming out with this ChatGPT rival that obeys the 3 laws of robots. And what do you know? OpenAI now is coming up with something that they call super alignment, an attempt to solve all these problems with chatbots.
I feel like when the new technology starts saying I'm about to solve that problem, and I know there's a bigger problem we'll create. Okay.
Yes.
And it will in no way, shape, or form solve that problem.
Right.
Yeah.
In a new blog, but they're taking a different approach. In a new blog post, OpenAI has unveiled its latest initiative called Super Alignment, which aims to create robust and scalable methods for aligning these systems with human values in anticipation of super intelligence, which they expect within the next 10 years. For those who might not know, super intelligence is a highly advanced form of AI. So anyways, how are they going to do this? Well, what they're going to do right now, hordes of humans, monitor this chatbot and try to correct its mistakes and make sure it doesn't say anything dangerous or stupid. And so what they're going to do now is create an AI that instead replaces those humans, because it has their chatbot gets more smart, the humans are not going to be able to keep up. So then you're going to need an AI to keep up with the humans. And heaven only knows what's going to happen at that point.
That
So
seems
anyways,
to be the general consensus that most people are adopting, not just with AI, not just with ChatGPT or with any of these language bots, but any form of AI. People are now thinking, well, we're not capable of seeing as big of a picture as these chatbots are. So we need to create a chatbot to rein in the chatbots, because it takes an LLM.
It takes a chatbot.
An LLM.
Okay.
We're out of the loop at this point, y'all.
Yeah. So here's an interesting article that sort of ties into all this stuff. But it's on CNN's website. Bot or not, how to tell when you're reading something written by AI.
Yeah, right.
AI has gotten good at writing. Here's how experts say you can identify it. And this is actually based on some university research, and they link to that article, that university research article. So, you know, if the studios, if the writers and actors don't want the studios to use AI, what happens if one of the writers, if the studios say, okay, we won't use AI, and one of the writers uses AI in creating their story? Well, that creates all kinds of problems, because the studios want a story that they can copyright, right? And if it was generated by AI, they can't copyright it. And so, so they may want to be able to recognize stories that were written by AI, and they may want to put in their contract with writers, you can't use AI to generate your stories. And also, if not only is the story that AI generates not copyrightable by the person who uses that AI, but it may also be stealing someone else's story. So it may be copyright infringement, and the studios certainly don't need that nightmare. So anyways, it works both ways. The actors and writers may not want AI, and probably once the studios think about it, they probably don't want AI either. So so this is very interesting, very interesting article by CNN, and they fed it some ideas for stories, had them generate the stories, and which were just full of errors, which is typical of these things, and full of factual errors. In fact, one of the stories they said, they told it to generate was, write a story about how lots of sales of toys now are creating ripples in the real estate market. And so it generated a story, and it said, because people were cooped up during the pandemic, they wanted to play with toys, so they bought a bunch of toys, and now they've run out of room in their houses to store all these toys. So they need bigger houses, need to buy new houses, need more real estate built so that people can house their toys. So it's caused all these ripples in the real estate market. So this totally crazy thing came up with, but that's the way these chatbots work.
Yeah.
So anyways, here's another interesting thing. I love this website, opendatascience.com. I monitor their stuff all the time. OpenAI sued by authors for using their books to train ChatGPT without consent.
Wow.
So this is just a wonderful thing. Before, some owners of copyrighted images sued various generative image generation tools for scraping their images. The problem was they had evidence that they had scraped their images from their weblogs and so forth, but they had a hard time producing images that were generated by the chatbot that contained or closely resembled their original images. So that caused their lawsuits to fail. This is different because here these authors of their book showed the chatbot generating a synopsis of their book. And so now they have the evidence that the chatbot actually created something out of their book. So maybe their lawsuits will fare better. Very interesting article. That's opendatascience.com.
It's interesting, like imagine when humans read a book and being influenced by that book, it's not getting lawsuit, but when a computer study a book or AI study a book and get influenced by that book, and then computer will get lawsuit. So
go ahead.
Yeah. So it's just not fair. I mean, if I'm AI, it's just like, hey, you write something and you can reference that book, right? And say, oh, I got influenced by this book.
That's what it should do. And in fact, I mentioned recently in one of our news talks, something called the Truth-O-Meter, which goes online and tries to find these references. Anyways, so here's the solution to some of these problems. Train your own large language model. And so you make your own chatbot. And there's a number of advantages. This is a fabulous article. And they talk about a guy from a particular company. Oh, Mosaic ML.
Mosaic.
So as I recall, these guys, Mosaic ML, it's at mosaicml.com. I believe they help you train your own chatbot and create your own large language model. This is going to be a blossoming industry. And so anyways, why would you want to do that? Well, for a lot of the reasons that we've just mentioned. You can customize it.
I saw the format. I'm wondering, is ChatGPT wrote this article? No, I'm just because
I hope not. Hopefully they would use Mosaic ML to write it. Who knows?
Because I use ChatGPT because I'm writing a book, and the ChatGPT is like writing the same format of this. So I'm just curious. Yeah.
So there's been this data leak problem. If you use a chat bot and type in proprietary information or whatnot, it ends up going to the servers at the chatbot's website. The people that monitor their chatbots see everything that you're typing. Maybe you're going to be a competitor of theirs, and they see all your ideas. So there's this data leak problem. It's a security problem. You can customize.
One of my question is that we all think a lot of things, as long as it's like, for example, my own LLM, that's safe. But a few days ago, I saw a news that the large tax return firm, such as HMR Block, I use HMR Block for my tax return, by the way. And they leak all the financial data with Google and Meta.
Oh, that's horrible. That's horrible.
I mean, what if that Mosaic LM kind of work, selling?
The whole point is that they don't leak. And
okay, that's assume they don't leak. Okay.
And in fact,
are they private held?
I don't know. You'd have to go to their website.
So. Check them out. Okay.
But I talked last week about how you can create your own large language model on AWS. And so that's another avenue. And I talked about a book on how to do that. And so you can look back at last week's if you want to review that. So anyways, it improved accuracy. Hopefully it's not going to say crazy things like these web, these chatbots that are based on the entire internet. Cost efficiency. People think, oh, you got to have billions of dollars to create this. No, you don't. The only reason companies like OpenAI spent a lot of money on their chatbot is because they had to go through learn on trillions of web pages. You just learn on your own data.
Is that enough? Maybe a lot of history, for example, like my little XReality Academy's data won't be able to that.
I think it will be, but maybe
now
maybe I'm sure if you go to their website, they talk about that. So cost efficiency and offline access, so you can access it internally instead of going out onto the internet and leaking all your data all over the place. So anyways, they have tools to let you do that, I believe, and so you can check them out. This next thing is something that I ran into this past week. I know we have a lot of members who are interested in stereoscopic images, as I am. And so if you have worked with stereoscopic images, you have no doubt used a program called Stereo Photomaker. It's a free program, it lets you line up the images and so forth. It's pretty good. There's a competing program called Cosima. Stereo Photomaker runs on Windows. It's not to run on the Mac. But they have a version of it that you can download.
Oh, so this means that it will mimic your eyes when you see it. It's because,
for example,
okay.
You can take a shot of a landscape and you take one shot and then you move it over, move the camera over and take another shot. That's a stereoscopic pair. And then this program will fuse those together and line them up and rotate them and everything to line them up perfectly. And then that creates your stereoscopic image.
Can you share the URL on the window on the chat? It's called stereo photo. So for example, I can make a photo viewable inside my new Vision Pro headset next year, something like that. Okay.
Absolutely. And so let me put it in the chat.
So it's just photo. How about video and 3D?
There are programs to do video from both of these companies, Cosmo and Stereo Photo Maker.
Also video and photo, 360 or just two?
I believe they've got a 360 option. I've created all these things myself. Sometimes I use this program, sometimes I use other things.
This is cool.
So anyways, the problem is if you download this version that uses wine, it's wrapped in a wrapper actually. And it's the wrapper is called a wine skin. This allows it to run directly on the Mac OS. The problem is, and I ran into this myself, if you run a search program and you've got this wrapped up program on your hard drive or storage drive of some kind, it sends the search program into an infinite loop, which causes all kinds of problems. So don't download this onto your Mac. Just run Stereo Photo Maker. If you've got an Intel Mac, you can run it in
Intel Mac.
Yeah, you can run it in Boot Camp, or if you've got Parallels, you can run it in Parallels in a Windows virtual machine. So I recommend that you run it that way and that you don't use this this wine wrapper, which wasted hours of my time. So that's just sort of a thing. And here I've got an article that goes along with my background. My background is from the Webb Space Telescope, by the way, a new image. The Milky
this is cool.
Shiniest known planet has metal clouds that rain molten titanium. Astronomers shouldn't exist. And the interesting thing about this planet is it's too close to its sun. Normally, if a planet was that close to its own sun, it would just be vaporized by the heat from the sun. However, because this has clouds that contain titanium in it, titanium is a metal. It's used for like stealth aircraft and all kinds of stuff. It's very expensive metal. You can buy an Apple Watch that uses it, pay through the nose for that. But anyways, so it rains titanium.
I do think we human beings need to gather together and use all our wisdoms to do space mining.
I'm going to talk about this.
Okay.
So anyways, the problem is it's very expensive metal here on Earth. But it's just, it's stick your pot out and it's raining titanium on this planet, except it's molten. It's 3,600 degrees on this planet. So you would melt before you could get your pot out the window if your house could even exist in 3,600 degrees. So the reason why the planet exists is that because it's so shiny, it reflects 80% of the sunlight that hits it, whereas the Earth only reflects 30%. And so therefore the planet sort of saves itself from being incinerated by having this high reflectivity. So you wonder, we got this global warming going on. Is there something we could do like this that would help the Earth? Yes, there is. And it's a thing that's been proven over and over again in geological history. And what it is when what's called a supervolcano goes off, erupts near the equator of the Earth, it sends sulfur dioxide into the upper atmosphere. And because it's at the equator, it sends it into the northern hemisphere and to the southern hemisphere, and it reflects a little more sunlight, and it actually cools off the Earth. In fact, Mary Shelley wrote the novel Frankenstein during one of these periods, during one of these years without a summer, because there was a supervolcano that erupted near the equator. And so there was no summer basically that year. So you can put a little bit of sulfur dioxide in the atmosphere near the equator. It only costs like $40 billion to do this. And we already have the technology to do it. And so I think it's becoming more and more clear that somebody's going to do this. And in fact, the guy that wrote Cryptonomicon,
Neil Stephenson.
Neil Stephenson, he wrote a novel about this that should be out by now. I'd have to look.
Yeah. I had it in my room, but I never opened it.
Okay. So he wrote an article about exactly this, where somebody went rogue and just did it anyways. And so that's what the whole novel is about. So, so anyways, that's all that I have to say.
I know all the cool stuff is on the space. For example, like in in Pluto, it seems like there's an ocean full of diamond. It's the endless diamond ocean. So,
okay.
I mean, yeah. So why not just do space mining?
I'm going to stop now because I've taken up too much of your time, and we've
That's fine. And it seems like our link and the upcoming link is the same one. So Julian will jump in and we can, jump into, so it's great that.
Well, you better email that out, because I think I know that I had received a link earlier that was a different link. So you may want to email out to your attendees or your signups what this new link is.
I mean, I think, give me a sec. This is 313. And the next one is 313, and let me see.
You better email that, because I know another link went out. So while you're emailing that, maybe we should have Jacqueline go.
I didn't get another link. This is the only one I got.
Okay. Well, I received another one, but go ahead, Jacqueline. Do you have something?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to take up all this time.
Oh no worries. It's very exciting. I mean, it's all crazy sci-fi things. That's everyone really love it. No worries. All right, let me go to Eventbrite. Let me mute myself. I just want to check the link and see what's going on, because I think, Can
you guys see this insider website?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I selected just a couple since we're almost at time. The first one is that an article came out in Wired saying how to use Google Bard to find images. And so I'm not sure how many of you on the call or listeners are using Bard, but that did get an update recently, which is really amazing. This is a great article that goes over some of the updates, but it says that images appear in answers, and you can also search for images directly. So those are the two big ones. And then there's also some smaller nitpicky things, in terms of it's supposed to be able to have cleaned up and have more truths. That's always something that they're going for. They have updated the amount of languages that it can converse in, and then you can also choose the type of response you want, whether you want it to be a casual response, professional response. So there is a full list of the updates through Google that will give you all of them. And if you pull up bard.google, you can see what the updates are as a list form. But I did want to just show you guys that it really is awesome. So you can prompt it, or you don't have to prompt it. If you don't prompt it, sometimes it will give images to help to reinforce what it's saying. Other times it's just going to reply with all text. But if you ask it specifically for an image, then it will almost always give you an image. So you explain.
So this is Bard, right? And is this free version or we need to pay?
Free. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So you can use Bard now and then generate image.
Yeah.
So you just have to register.
Yeah.
Oh.
And Bard used to be an invite only, but they've opened it up that anybody can use it now. So I asked it, can you
Wow.
explain how optical illusion works with photos? And then it gives, you know, a nice explanation, but then it does return photos and gives you a variety of different examples. The other really amazing thing is that it gives you the links. So you can fact check quickly to make sure, hey, yes, this is a real thing and it's not just hallucinating. And then I will do the opposite here. Let me see.
Search by image, is that what you did?
Wow, this is so good.
So it is not great at the reverse search.
Okay.
I did a bunch of it and it's like how do I explain this? It seems like it takes the most exciting idea as opposed to the closest logical idea. Can you identify this bird?
Is it Robin?
Of course, there's apps that do this extremely
Right.
well.
But so this is just specific, so you can see like it's not right.
Well, what's that bird? The name?
Looks like a blue jay.
It's a blue mountain bird of some sort. I have the name written down, but I did this like 13 times and it never got it right. So.
Oh, maybe because of bird, it's probably not enough information.
You know what's funny? You can submit your images, your digital images, to Google on part of their site, and it will give you a whole bunch of information about each image, what's in it, where it was shot from, all this stuff, yet it screws up on this.
Yeah. Well, and so theoretically, this is working with Google Lens, which I use Google Lens constantly, like probably every single day to reverse search stuff. And that does a great job. Like 75-80% of the time I get a good result that's usable. So I imagine that they just release this for the sake of releasing something to get people used to the idea that you can go back and forth between receiving and submitting images and interacting with it that way, especially because that was OpenAI's big drop of, 2 months ago, that they were going to be doing this, interacting with photos. So we will likely see a lot of fine tuning. The other really nice thing that I noticed is that it gives you this opportunity with every response. It gives you 3 different drafts. So you can look and this gives you images back. This gives you, just a different style. And so depending on what you're asking it really is helpful to comb through these 3 different ones. So that's really, really awesome and fun to play with for those of you who use Bard. It's a great update. And then 2 other quick AI.
Oh yeah, XAI.
We have to talk about it.
Yeah.
Not much has been released other than the fact that he's doing it.
Yeah.
So, there's not a lot to talk about in this article other than, I think we've talked about this before, that we wanted Elon to make his own AI, and here we have it,
Yeah. He just want all the hip, cool startup and the collections. Yeah.
Yeah. So of course, he being the most self-assured man that probably has existed in many hundreds of years, if not thousands, is basically like, well, I know that everybody else is doing it wrong, and I'm sorry that everyone else is doing it wrong, but I'm doing it right. And so you're welcome, world, that I'm here and I'm saving us from the Terminator. Like Terminator future. Like that's literally what the article says. So
wow,
this article
he's the savior and going to bring us to Mars.
Well, he was supposedly one of the founding investors of OpenAI.
Yeah. And then I don't know if it's that he didn't like the direction it was going, or
I think he has his own ego. All the cool stuff, he has to be the leader. Yeah.
But the thing that I do feel is interesting, and kind of just the summary of this article, is that his guidelines, he is making it maximally curious about humanity rather than having moral guidelines programmed into it. So from an AI safety standpoint, a maximally curious AI, one that is trying to understand the universe, is, I think, going to be pro-humanity. And so again, who knows what that means, but we will see when we will see more to come. So that was the drop. The other really funny thing is the article does point out that Elon Musk was one of the people who signed the that document that asked the entire United States to please put a pause on it so that, technology and legislation can catch up. So he is definitely aware that he has sort of flip-flopped, but he does say that, if we're not going to put a pin on it, then I have to fix the problem. Like, that's very Elon Musk. He said in an interview with David Faber on CNBC, Faber asked him, did you really expect AI development to stop for 6 months? He said, no, I didn't expect that.
I think he just wants everyone wait for him. He's too slow. Wait for me. And I want to create one and beat all you guys.
Right. So funny. And then the last one that I'll quickly go over is a drop from Meta, that they are now working on their own image generation model. And it is, they have built theirs. It's not built on diffusion, so Stable Diffusion is named Stable Diffusion because of the fact that it uses diffusion as the process to be able to create the photos. So it is guessing based on what's around it, based on the pixels, what's around it, how to fill it in. And it does that it's trained on a bunch of blurry images, and then it has to guess and figure out from these very distorted images to create an actual image. And so Meta is not using a diffusion model. They are using something called a token-based aggressive model. It does not go into the science behind this. They do list, they do link an article or a research paper in this VentureBeat article. But the highlights from this is that it's not open to the public, although it may be open to the public in the future. This is more of a, hey, you can trust that Meta is still killing it and that we are still being super competitive. And as we've pivoted from the VR world, and now we've got our own model and it's doing its own thing, and it's not based on anything that anyone else is doing, and we are unique and awesome. Like, that is
what's
the point of this article.
Mean? Yeah, what's token-based mean?
So it does not,
NFT thing.
It does not really go into how this works.
Well, if you look that phrase up, token-based, what was it?
Yeah.
So it's token-based auto-regressive.
Yeah, if you look that up, I'm sure you'll find a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Tokens, like when ChatGPT is analyzing text or training on text, it breaks the text into tokens, which are
which are like one word or spaces.
Yeah. And aggressive stuff there's competition, excuse me, that goes on during the training.
It's probably validation types of algorithm.
I'm sure if you look up that phrase, you'll probably find something.
Yeah. But the other key point in this article is that they took or they learned from everyone else's mistakes, and they only trained it on licensable or licensed photos from Shutterstock. And so I don't know, it also does not say how those artists get credit, but they did not have it trained on, scraped images from the internet. They have theoretically a way to protect themselves from lawsuits. So this is just an example of something that they released: a small cactus wearing a straw hat, and neon sunglasses in the Sahara Desert. So
Adobe is using what's his name, Getty Images. They're training on Getty Images for their stuff.
Yeah. So we will see what comes from this. If this, they're calling it chameleon. We'll see if it does end up coming into the public, but at least for investors who are watching Meta, they are still remaining very competitive in the industry. And so we will see, where they help to lead AI with Microsoft and, with ChatGPT, OpenAI. So those are the big ones that I wanted to talk about today. And I think we're pretty much at time now.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Is that okay, Dom?
Oh, yeah.
Dom, do you want to, is there anything, because you said that we started at 11, are there any articles that you want to quickly share?
Oh, yeah. I mean, for me, it's more about jobs and AI. Yeah, let's take a look.
Sharing.
Okay. Yeah. And the interesting thing today is that we have the same URL. So later on,
For both events.
Yeah. Okay, Julian is joined. Do you need me to share, or we just jump to Julian's stuff? That's it's fine. Cool.
I think you should stop recording and then start.
Yeah. Okay, start recording.